Hello and welcome to City Beat. I'm your host Greg from the Lewiston City Library. Joining me today is an old friend, Brandon Beeg Johnson. How you doing today, Beeg?
Doing awesome. How are you, man?
Great, great. Glad to have you on the show.
Thanks again. Really appreciate you taking time to hang out with good old Beeg over here.
Absolutely. Anytime I can do it, I'm happy to do so. So what do we have in store? Lewis Parks and Rec. Got a lot of stuff going on. What's on tap for winter and spring 2015?
Yeah, so our winter-spring brochure will be out at the very beginning of January. And we have information about our adult softball league. We will have information on 50+ and active trips, plus some new programs. We're also going to do 2 new ski programs, one to Bluewood and then one to Bald Mountain. And so we're really excited about that. We have one of our staff members, Spencer Gray, who's an outdoor rec guy, and so we have him leading those. Also, he's going to do some rec-mobile trips up to the U of I Rec Center, do some rock climbing with kids, which is really exciting. And in addition, we will continue to do our spring events like Mother-Daughter Tea. This year's theme will be Alice in Wonderland, which is really cool. So we've been doing Mother-Daughter Tea for, I don't know, 15+ years. So, and we started theming it, 4 years ago or so, 5 years ago. So yeah, it'll be very exciting. Actually, one of my staff members, Haley, looks like Alice, and so I'm gonna have her dress up as Alice for the event, which will be kind of cool.
Do you have any staff members who will be the Mad Hatter or the March Hare?
Not yet. That's a lie, actually. Spencer will be the Mad Hatter because his hair is crazy anyway, so we'll just dye it orange or something. He's got a big old beard. Spencer leads all of our rec-mobile stuff in the summer, so he'll be a perfect fit for that. I just need to find a cat. I need to find a...
Cheshire cat?
Yeah, some sort of cat. Maybe a real one. I don't know, just kidding. That's probably a bad idea. So we're really excited. We're continuing to program new programs. This fall we started inclusive rec program. So the second Friday of every month up till April, we'll do an inclusive event, which means special needs adults basically. So last month we did karaoke. This month we're doing bingo. So it'll be, we'll continue that, and then in the summer we'll continue some inclusive programming as well. So, 2015 is around the corner, and we look for, new program for the entire year. So most of my classes are already programmed out. We have yoga coming up with your wife, your amazing wife, as instructor. So, we are continuing to get feedback from the public, as well as doing tons of research ourselves on other programs that other municipalities that are similar size or bigger than us are doing. So the really cool thing too is the rec network that we have throughout the state. There's not a ton of municipal rec programmers necessarily, just because there's not a ton of cities that have rec programs. But those of us that are from, McCall to Post Falls to Boise to Meridian, we're all really good friends, and so we share ideas all the time. As a matter of fact, Eagle just started a brand new Parks and Rec department, and their staff has been contacting me about program ideas, how we get sponsors and all that stuff. So we get to share what we do here in Lewiston with other individuals throughout the state, which is really cool.
Very cool, very cool. And I know some of those other individuals as well from
McCall?
From my previous days in McCall.
Oh, yeah.
Good friends of mine. So you kind of touched on this a little bit. What new projects, like bigger project? I mean, you spoke to programming, and it sounds great. I'm really looking forward to the ski trips, especially myself being a big skier, and the yoga, of course. But what bigger projects are you guys working on for the?
Tim Barker, our director, has shared some information. As a matter of fact, just recently in the newspaper in front of the Northwest section, kind of about $13.1 million project for Community Park, and so that will continue to move forward as we get feedback from the public and City Council, etc. Obviously, funding is going to be the big question with that. In addition to that, this year we also have a couple other projects. The first one is we are going to build a dog park in North Lewiston, and I've talked a little bit about it before, but we just received $40,000 to do that. And the project will probably end up costing about 50. So we'll need to fundraise about 10 grand, which is a lot easier than 50 grand. So we have $40,000 to do that. We have our fence bid in. So Carpenter Fence is going to do the fencing for us. You know, so we'll start that hopefully in the spring. It all depends on the Corps of Engineers. They were using their property, and so there's an application process, and it takes 4 to 6 months to get information back to see if we can, or when we can break ground. Also very exciting. Currently we have 2 tennis courts that the city manages or runs and owns in our Parks and Rec at Airport Park and at Sunset. We are going to convert and resurface Sunset into 6 pickleball courts. Some people don't know what pickleball is.
I was going to say I am one of those people who have heard the term before but don't know a whole lot about it.
So pickleball it's been around for actually about 50 years. It was a sport invented in Seattle. I actually played in high school as part of our high school curriculum in the Seattle area, so I've known about it for a long time. In the city I grew up in, built pickleball courts in the mid-90s, so I was pretty familiar. So what it is, it's basically a mixture of tennis, a little badminton, and some ping pong. And here's what I mean. It's played on a court, just like tennis, but you use a paddle, a large paddle, like ping pong. Instead of using a tennis ball, we use a wiffle ball. But there's a net, there's a court system. It's really fun. In the Valley, it's very popular with the 50+ and active crowd. However, it is a very multi-generational game, meaning that anybody of any ability can play it. You can play singles, you can play doubles, just like tennis. It is a ton of fun. It's a very quick game. It's not fast like tennis, but it's quick. It's back and forth, back and forth. So that's really it's really fun. Our local pickleball club is called the Terminators. They have been instrumental in pushing this forward, helping us as a department get this thing done. They are very passionate, and they've grown just in the last year from about 20 people to over 50 now that are part of their actively playing. Currently, they're actually playing in the winter. They play inside at the LC Tennis Center, and so hopefully in the spring we can get the tennis courts resurfaced, and so we can have some pickleball court or pickleball tournaments, as well as one of the largest games that we have here, activities that we have here in the Valley, is the Lewis Clark Senior Games, and that particularly is the largest game or largest event for them, and so it'd be a great segue for them to be able to use that 6 courts to run tournaments. Currently, they're playing at Airport Park, and they have 2. They can use one of the courts as 2 pickleball courts, and they have a whole bunch of people waiting and sitting, and so with 50 people playing, you can get 4 on a court at a time. With 2 courts, there's 8 people playing, so there's a ton of people sitting around waiting to get things done. So with 6 courts, hopefully there'll be no waiting, and then the sport can grow exponentially here as well. Other places around the Northwest have embraced pickleball as a sport and as an activity. Bend, Oregon just finished 8 new courts, and I think they're going to build 8 more. Walla Walla just got approved for 6 courts, I believe. Post Falls just built 6 more courts. So it's a sport that's growing rapidly, and it's fun, and like I said, multi-generational, so anybody can play it. And if we have those courts available, it's going to be free. There's not going to be a charge. We'll charge if we do some tournaments and stuff, but it's an activity that the whole family can enjoy.
That's great, and you've really got me interested in it now. Where do you get the paddles? I've played a lot of wiffle ball in my day, but the big paddles, do they just sell those? Yeah,
there is a company out of Kent, Washington, that is kind of the forefront of pickleball equipment. So the theory would be is that when we have that sport here, somebody is going to pick up the retail slack on that. So whether it's Tri-State or Big Five or whomever, I can tell you this: when we opened the disc golf course. Nobody sold discs in town, and now there are several retail locations that sell discs. And so the idea is that it'll probably be the same. Sports Authority, Big Five,
You'll be able to start finding them.
Right.
Around.
Otherwise, you can find it online. Honestly, the best thing to do for anybody that is interested is go to our website, cityoflewiston.org/parks and rec, and click on sports and then pickleball. There's some contact information from Doug and Shirlene McMillan. They have stuff that people can use and borrow to get started. And they're kind of the ambassadors for the Valley. They've grown this themselves over the years. About 4 years ago, three or 4 years ago, they came into our office at the community center and asked if Tim and I to have a meeting. So we sat down with them and they discussed what pickleball was. Tim and I both knew what it was, so it was a no-brainer. So we started advertising their playing times. And it's just kind of grown and grown and grown. And like I said, over the last year, it's doubled in size as far as how many people are participating consistently within their group. There's people that drive down from Pullman. They're coming from Pomeroy. There's a gentleman that every once in a while from Spokane comes down. So there is a demand. One of the exciting things about the tournament thing is Doug and Shirlene specifically, they travel across the Northwest to tournaments. The idea is it'll be an economic revenue source for the entire community because people are going to be buying gas, staying in hotels, buying food, etc. So if we have a large tournament here, I can speak to Washougal, Washington. They just did theirs and they had a big grand opening tournament in the spring of 2014. And they had a huge boom just within their community, which isn't a very big community. It actually reminds me a lot of here. We're bigger, but you know the hotels were booked, restaurants were packed just because people were driving around the Northwest playing pickleball. Believe it or not.
Who knew?
Who knew?
I had no idea how big of a sport it was. I thought it was just a really cool name, and now I know more.
Well, here's where the name's from. So the couple that invented pickleball in Seattle, their dog's name was Pickle. And Pickle kept chasing the ball, and so it became Pickleball. True story.
Huh. Well, thank you, Pickle.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pickle. Well, Beeg, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
You know, we are, again, excited about what we do. We are very passionate about doing recreation and being a part of the park system for our city. We always want feedback. We want to hear how parks look. We want to hear what programs that you've seen in other areas or ideas, and so we can explore those as well. We are always doing research on, rec opportunities. We're growing our outdoor programming. We're growing our inclusive or special needs programming. We're growing our 50+ and active programming. We want to continue to do that, and we want everybody's feedback. So don't be afraid to give us a call at the community center at 746-2313. Or check out our website, cityoflewiston.org/parks and rec. And then we put all of our information on Facebook as well. And our Facebook is Lewiston Parks Recreation, no and. So Lewiston Parks Recreation on Facebook. We want to hear from you. We want your feedback. And we're excited to do what we do for our community.
Well, great. It sounds like you guys are doing a lot of great things right now and in the future. Really looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always a pleasure having you on the show. It makes me look great, so I really appreciate that. It's not hard to do, I know, so I appreciate that. Well, on behalf of Beeg, myself, and everyone else here, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on City Beat.